So good morning, everybody. How is everybody doing today? I don't know what's going on in your neighborhood, but spring has sprung in Delaware. It is absolutely gorgeous here today. It was 75 degrees when I left the house. Flowers everywhere, light breeze, sunshine. It's just the kind of day you wish for all winter long. So I'm in a good mood. I am Jessica Lewis, and the name of my company is Sculpt Your Life. I'm actually wearing a company shirt today. See if you can see the logo. And it's founded on the principles that anybody can be super duper healthy and well if they will simply move well, eat well, and relax well. And to that end, I'm also a master personal trainer, a certified nutritional counselor, and an accredited Tai Chi instructor. I'm actually accredited or certified, I guess you should say, to teach a couple different styles of Tai Chi. But relative to being here today at the Cancer Support Community, I'm going to show you guys Tai Chi, which is clearly, hands down, my favorite Tai Chi practice of all time. The reason why I love it so much is most people experience it as way easier, much more customizable, because there's only 20 movements, and there's not even a rule in the rule book you got to do them in order. There's not even a rule that you got to do them all. You can do it from a chair if you like, with very little modification. I've even worked with people that were wheelchair bound, and most people sort of generally consider it more fun than a lot of other Tai Chi practices. On top of everything else, it's been qualified by a number of our leading medical authorities as nothing other than a moving mindfulness practice. And mindfulness, of course, has been studied for umpteen years now as being one of the keys to this unparalleled, continually expanding sense of well-being that people can actually have simply by practicing mindfulness. So practice Tai Chi, and you will be, I don't want to say killing many birds with one stone, but you'll be accomplishing lots of goals. Let's put it that way. By the way, it also qualifies as low-level exercise. So anyway, all that being said, let's start today with a few minutes of good old-fashioned mindfulness, the standing, silent, motionless kind, okay? But let's combine it with a little bit of Tai Chi. So the first thing we're going to do is figure out what our at-rest position will be. In between each one of these movements, we always come to a position of rest and just sort of notice the body, what's going on with the body when it's motionless. So let's figure out what that position looks like and feels like, okay? If my feet were my hands and I could show them to you easily, you'd see that they're sort of in a V shape, right? But you know what? If that doesn't feel good to you, this is fine, this is fine, this is fine. Find your shape that's most comfortable to you, okay? But hopefully with your heels a little closer than your toes. So find that first. Find that first. Now, I'm going to stand sideways so you can see what I'm about to illustrate a little bit more easily. When most people are standing still, they stand like this, with their knees not necessarily locked, but more towards the back, right? Now, when I'm standing in this position, my weight is all in my heels. In fact, my weight is so in my heels, I can actually wiggle my toes without moving any other muscles. Can you see that I'm wiggling my toes right now? I am, right? So all I want you to do now is just allow the knees to be soft. Just allow them to be soft. Soft enough that you can really feel your weight suddenly spreading out very evenly across the soles of both your feet. And you might actually feel your tailbone tucking under a little bit when you do that. So let's all go ahead and just check that out. Find your position that feels best to you. Everybody's got a sweet spot for this, right? Now, what to do with the hands? Good question, right? The first thing I'm doing is just noticing if my arms are very easily hanging down from my shoulders. They are. There's a complete effortlessness about that. They're just hanging there. But now I'm going to imagine that somebody attached marionette strings to the ends of my fingers, and they simply lifted my fingers. So it's as if suddenly I'm resting my palms on an invisible countertop that suddenly magically appeared in front of me. So, and now you'll probably also notice there's a little softness in my elbows now in order for that to be easy, for me to easily, simply rest my palms on this invisible countertop in front of me. So let's all find that position. Everybody's got their own. And taking a nice deep breath certainly couldn't hurt. And just notice what's going on in the body when you're just standing here. Just notice. Notice any muscles that might be feeling tense or stressed out. Just sort of ask them to release, right? At least for now. Maybe notice your breathing. Notice whether or not it's shallow or deep, fast or slow. And maybe just ask it to slow down a bit. Maybe just blow a little oxygen into all the four directions of the body there. All the way down to the tips of your toes and your fingers. Let's do that together. Nice. Now while we're in this position, I'm going to use my singing bowl. Okay? Find a spot somewhere inside that you normally pay no attention to. It could be anything we just talked about, your breath, your feet touching the floor, your palms resting on that invisible countertop in front of you, anything. Pick something you would normally take zero note of, okay? And that's where your attention will dwell while we call the bell, which is a fancy way of saying I'm going to ring it. And until you hear me ring the bell again, maybe 30 seconds, not long, you're simply going to allow your mind to dwell there. Now, if it wanders, that is completely, utterly normal. That is what minds do. That's what they were invented to do, actually, is to be constantly busy. And you can simply invite it back, and most likely it will comply, okay? And you can do that as many times as you need to, and no matter what happens, nothing is wrong with you or with anything. It's just what minds do. So again, let's find that spot that we're going to focus on. And let's begin. Eyes open or closed. Of course, you could easily do this seated if you prefer. Just noticing that spot you've picked. Without judgment. Without assigning value. Just watching with your mind's eye. How'd that go? You know, I always do that because we all go through a lot to get to these classes, you know. I mean, you probably, if you're home all day, you've been racing around the house probably, you know, getting the mail, getting your breakfast ready, feeding the cat. Ooh, I got to get online, right? Me, on the other hand, I had to get down here. I live 20 minutes away, you know. This is a great way to set the tone for any kind of Tai Chi practice. Certainly not part of Tai Chi Chih. It's just the way Jessica likes to teach. And extra added bonus, if we do this at the beginning and the end of class, you almost always, I can almost guarantee you will notice that a subtle but noticeable change has occurred somewhere in your inner landscape as a direct result of having practiced Tai Chi Cha, right? You stay tuned. You'll notice it at the end, I promise. So we're going to do our best to get through as many of these as we can. What I'll probably do is limit the movements that have 9 repetitions down to 6 so that we have time to make sure that we get all the way through to the end. But if we don't, so what? As I mentioned earlier today, there's no rule in the rule book that says we have to do them all. No rule in the rule book says we have to do them in order. There's no such thing as Tai Chi Cha police. I make mistakes all the time, or do silly things all the time, and no one has ever zapped me with a lightning bolt. I'm still here. So let's begin with rocking motion, which is generally considered to be the warm-up. That and bird flaps its wings. But we're going to find that position of motionlessness that we already used during our mindfulness practice a moment ago. Feeling the weight spread out across the soles of both your feet. Tailbone slightly tucked under in order to facilitate that. Knees are soft, which is different from bending them. It's just allowing them to be soft. Elbows are soft. Palms lightly resting on that invisible countertop. I'm going to turn sideways so you can see what I'm about to say more easily. Now we're going to step out with the left foot. The easiest way to do that is put a little extra weight on the right so you can step out. Straighten out the toes. Now send the weight backwards. So we're just going to lengthen the knees in the back and put the hands back here. And now we're simply going to allow our body to rock forward and back. The easiest way to do that is just let the knees be soft as you shift forward, then lengthen them. And let the knees be soft as you shift back, then lengthen them. Let's keep on going. Now we always say the easiest way, not even the easiest way, the best way to do Tai Chi Cha is with the effort of no effort. I know that sounds funny, but boy, is that a gift. I mean, how often in life do people tell you, you are working way too hard, you got to knock that off or you're not going to succeed. So let's just see if we can allow ourselves to sort of be blown forward and back like willow branches in the breeze. Let's do a few more of these. I know I said we were only going to do 6 of the ones that have 9 repetitions, but it's okay to do a lot of rocking motion. It is the warm-up. And I bet you can see that my toes and then my heels are actually leaving the floor. But I assure you that is simply from lengthening the knees and shifting the weight. I am not using any muscles. And the arms are simply coming along for the ride with the weight shift. Let the weight shift be circuitous, almost like waves washing up on a beach and turning around and washing back. I'm going to turn forward so you can see a different angle. Nice. If you find this challenging, just focus on the weight shift. The more attention you pay to the soles of your feet, the less busy your monkey mind will be. We all have a monkey mind. Let's do 2 more. And on the this last one, we're going to head back towards the right, the direction we came from, and sink back down into that rest position. And now we're going to move on to bird flaps its wings. By the way, when I face the camera, I always try to mirror, and when I turn sideways, I don't. So we're just going to let the hands float down towards each other, especially the heels of the hands. We want them to be nice and close. And if you are feeling some unusual sensations between your palms, it is not your imagination. During Tai Chi Cha, sometimes some additional energy gets kicked up, especially between the palms. We call it polarity. All right, now here we're going to let the weight shift to the balls of the feet and sink at the same time. I'll show you from the side, it'll be easier. And then we're going to let that whole process sort of blow the little teeny weeny bird wings away from the body. Okay, here we go. Nice, and the rising brings them back. We're going to do that again. And now on this third time, we're going to draw a little circle in the air just with the tips of the bird wings. I'll show you from the front. Now we're going to do that whole procedure again. Sink and flip the tiny little bird wings 2 times. Now draw the circle in the air. One more set. Floating back down to rest. Feeling the body at rest for just a moment. And now we're going into a whole series of forward-backward movements. And I'm going to mirror you, okay? So I want you to sink down a little lower. You might actually feel your tailbone tucking a little more under right now. Now shift over to your right. You might feel this leg really fill up with all of your weight now, okay? And once that happens, your left leg, probably feels completely empty, so empty that you can simply extend the knee and just place the heel down there. I'm not stepping out. I just place the heel down, okay? Then we're going to put our hands up here near the heart. It's as if there's suddenly a big round platter directly in front of your body at about heart height. And as if there's a little ball of energy about the size of that shower scrubby underneath each hand. And the balls of energy are going to be on the platter. So here we go. As we flow forward into that once empty leg and flow back into the leg that was originally full, we're going to let the hands circle around the platter. And therefore, this movement is called around the platter. It ain't rocket science. Here we go. And you might notice we're flowing out over the leg that's extended and back the other way. So if you look down at your hand, you're going to notice you're going clockwise. We're going to do one more. Soles of the feet. And now we're going to do the other side. So we're going to sink down, shift into your left leg so your right leg can extend. And here go the hands counterclockwise. In every Tai Chi Chuan movement, you're going to notice that at least one body part is drawing a circle in the air somewhere. Big old circle as your hands go around the platter here. But I want you to notice how circuitous the weight shift is as well, like waves on a beach. Washing up and changing directions and washing back. We're going to call this next one number 6. I might be wrong. And then just stand up in the back and let it pull the entire body back and then float down to rest. Just feel the body at rest. I want to show you a little prop. I always bring props with me every week and then I forget to tell you what they're for. So one of my students made this for me. Isn't it gorgeous? It's gorgeous. He made it because he often hears me illustrating a point. When you have an hourglass, this isn't really an hourglass, I think it only runs for about 15 minutes. Sand is pouring into the bottom right now. Can you see that? I don't know if you can see it, but take my word for it, it's happening. Orange sand is pouring into the bottom, but it's also pouring out of the top. And then if I were to turn this over, orange sand is pouring out of what was once the bottom back into the top. So I want you to think about the weight shift in exactly the same way as that, okay? Let's do around the platter variation while we apply that hourglass principle to the weight shift, okay? Sinking down and shifting to your right so the empty left leg can extend. The hands begin to move exactly as they did in around the platter, only just in front of your left shoulder. It's as if they simply pick up a ball of energy and just show at the door at about midnight. And feel the energy from your rear leg pouring out of the rear leg into the front leg and then the other way around. Feel that. Nice. One more. Soles of the feet. I'll show the second side from the side. Here we go. Sinking down and shifting to your left so your right leg can extend, and here we go. Weight shift like waves on a beach, washing up, changing directions, washing back, washing up, washing back. Nice. We're still drawing circles here. We're going to do one more. Soles of the feet. I'm simply feeling them touching the earth. And now we're going to do bass drum. I'm going to do it from the side. Sinking down, feeling the tailbone tucking under a little bit more, and shift all the way to your right leg. And when all the weight is there, the left leg can simply extend with no effort. Hands up to about chest height only, facing each other now, about shoulder width apart. And as you glide forward into that front leg, let the hands circle around the outside rim, I should say the fingers, of a big old high school marching band bass drum. Let me shift back so you can see me a little differently here. Nice. Still drawing circles in the air here. They're just more vertical than before. Nice. One more. Simply standing up on the filling up leg, letting it pull the whole body back in, and then sinking down to motionlessness. And let's do the other side. We're going to sink down and shift to your left so your empty right leg can extend, and here we go. So why are some of the reasons why Tai Chi makes you well? It's because, partly, lots of reasons actually, but partly it's because when we're doing Tai Chi, we're also moving slowly, smoothly, continuously, circularly. We're expanding and contracting. We're going to do one more. And float back down to the soles of the feet. Now let's sink down and shift into your right leg again. Let your left leg extend. Just turn the palms over at the bottom here. We're going to do a movement called Daughter on the Mountaintop. You got to start at the base of a mountain if you want to climb it, right? So here we go. We're still drawing circles here. You see them? 2 hands drawing overlapping circles, like 2 rings of the 4-ring Audi logo. So why do all those ways of moving make you well? The softness, the slowness, the continuousness. It's because they're the exact same governing principles of the universe. We're going to do 2 more. And then float back to the soles of the feet. Other side. So the principles of movement in Tai Chi Cha are exactly the same as the principles that govern the universe. And when we move in these ways, we're reminding the body how to move in the easiest, most natural ways possible. We're going to do one more. And now we're going to do Daughter in the Valley. Remember I said there was a rule, no rule about having to do all the movements in a certain order? There's 2 exceptions to that rule. One is now. If you do one daughter, you got to do the other. Daughter on the Mountaintop is very complemented by Daughter. So let's do Daughter in the Valley. If you want to walk down in a valley, you got to start up at the top, right? So we're going to sink down, shift to your right. Empty left leg extends, the hands come up here. And as you glide forward, the hands glide up. And as you glide back, they separate. Still drawing circles. Here's a big one. And then we simply cut up the middle here. Nice. We're going to do 2 more. Flowing down to the soles of the feet. And do the other side from the side. Sinking down and shifting to the left so the empty right leg can extend, and here we go. So think about it. Really think about this for a minute. Things in nature are always accomplished best when there's softness, smoothness, continuous time. I mean, that's how the Grand Canyon was formed, right? With the softness of water and a lot of time. And things always come around again in nature. You can call them seasons, you can call them orbits, you can call it a day. Let's do one more. Soles of the feet. And now we're going to do a side-to-side movement called carry the ball to the side. I'm going to do it a little bit differently because I'm worried I'm going to walk off camera here. So we're going to do it the way we would do it if we had almost no footprint available to us, okay? So we're going to sink, shift to your right, just like we normally would, but turning the waist a little bit. So it's as if the right shoulder kind of went backwards a little bit, and we're going to put the hands up over there by the right shoulder. Sort of the same way we were doing when we did around the platter, only over here by the shoulder. Now this, your left leg, should feel so empty that the heel can kind of sneak away from the body. So go ahead and let that go. And now we're going to pour all the weight from this leg into this guy, and the hands will come along for the ride. Here we go. And we're pouring it back into your right leg, and into your left leg, and back to your right leg, and into the left leg. And this time we're going to stand up on the left leg. It was filling up already anyway. Now let's go back the other way. You can probably already tell that this movement is particularly valuable for people who swing something, like a golf club, or a tennis racket, or a baseball bat. But there's no one particular Tai Chi Chuan movement that's particularly good for improving any particular aspect of your life. We always say, just do all of the movements, and all of your sports performances will improve, and your health. Let's think about it. Again, how often in life do you find an activity that becomes even more beneficial the less work you apply? This is the perfect complement to any even high-level sports activity. In fact, as a trainer, I've worked with some pretty accomplished athletes, but when they add Tai Chi Chuan into the mix, suddenly their sports performance goes through the roof. What's relative to the cancer community, however, is that this is one of the only forms of exercise that doesn't create what's known as oxidative stress in the body, because we're not huffing and puffing the way we would be if we were running, right? So we're actually flooding the body with life and body healing blood and oxygen without flooding the cancer cells with oxygen. Cancer cells are one of the only cells of the body that can thrive anywhere, with or without oxygen. And we're going to simply notice the stillness in the body for a moment. All right, here we go. We're going to do push-pull, back to some of the forward-backward movements, with your left leg out. So we're going to sink and shift to the right, extending the left leg. The hands come up to the shoulders, and as we float forward, the hands float forward. And as we float back, the hands float back. Maybe this movement should be called float-float rather than push-pull, because there's no work here. We're still drawing circles. We're going to do one more. This is more like an elliptical shaped circle this time. And I'll do the other side from the side so you can see that illustrated a little bit more clearly. We're going to sink down and shift to your left so the right leg can extend, and here we go. The hands simply rise and turn around at the same time, then fall and turn around at the same time. Nice. Wonderful. Last one. We're flowing down to the soles of the feet. Now let's do pulling in the energy. Looks just like the platter movements, only with the palms facing up, and here we go. Nice. Trying to give you a better view of everything here. Feeling the tailbone extend and then tuck under. Let's do 2 more. Floating down to the soles of the feet. Let me show you my little model of the human pelvis. So here's what's going on when we're going forward and back. Let me get this out of the way. Here's what's going on when we're going forward and back. Okay, we sink down, we shift, we let an empty leg extend, the tailbone tucks under. When we go forward, the tailbone tips back. When we go back, the tailbone tucks under. It's just natural. We're not making it happen. It's just happening. And notice how the pelvis looks like a bowl, right? And there's an energetic heart that sits right in the bowl, right down here. Every ancient culture, not just the Chinese, believes that we have a really important, almost like engine down here. The Chinese call it the Dantian. Most cultures have a similar name for it, by the way. And then as you're flowing forward and back, that engine is expanding and contracting and expanding and contracting. And that's another governing principle of the universe, my friends. We're just letting the body flow along for the ride, following along that expansion and contraction like it's leading the parade. We're going to do one more. Sinking down to the soles of the feet. And now we're going to do a whole series of movements that are based on one particular movement pattern called pulling taffy. I'm going to do that once with just one hand so you get the hang of it. These are all side-to-side movements, by the way. Same weight shift as the forward back thing, only side to side. And we've already actually explored the weight shift a bit when we were doing carry the ball to the side. Okay, so here we go. With one hand at a time, we're going to pull taffy. We're going to sink, shift, and turn to your right. And notice how your left shoulder came forward, so it's basically telling the left arm to just flow in front of your belly here. Let that empty left heel sneak away from the body, and as we shift that direction, here comes the left arm along for the ride. And we just stand up and float down. Let's do the other side. Let's add the second arm. Very easy. Just sneaks up on top. We're going to pull energetic taffy between our hands when we shift. That's why it's called pulling taffy. And back again. One more time. Feel the tailbone tuck under slightly in the middle and then extend on either end. Here we are, contracted a bit when we're at rest. Expand a bit when we're all on one leg. Expand even more when one leg sits out. Contract a little and expand again on the other side. You might not be real body conscious about all this, but take my word for it, that's what's happening. Feel the body at rest for a moment. Let's do anchor taffy, the next movement. It's a variation number 1 on the pulling taffy movement. So we're going to begin exactly the same way that we already did for pulling taffy, only instead of to the left, the empty heel is going to go forward and the foot's going to be a little pigeon-toed. Then we're going to glide side, forward, and come right back. And now we're going to pull Taffy to your left, just like we already have learned to do. Nice. Now it's called anchor Taffy because the rear heel stays anchored to the ground, unlike the other forward-backward moves. And that enables you to go forward and back a little quicker than you would if you were doing push-pull or any of the other forward-backward movements. I always say it's as if you're about to pass a tray of cookies to someone in front. It's like a cookie? Oh, no? Okay, I'll take it back. Then you flip the tray over and all the cookies fall off. But you get the idea. And we pass the tray forward. They don't want it, we take it back. And now we pass the tray to the side. Would you like some cookies? No? Okay. I'm going to only do 2 sets of anchor Taffy here in deference to time. Let's go ahead and do the second variation of pulling Taffy. This one's called wrist circles, okay? So feel the body sinking and shifting to the heels this time, okay? We're going to sink down and let the fingers just drop. And then as you rise and lengthen the knees and shift to the balls of the feet, the fingers come up and forward too. We're going to do that again. Now this time when we sink, we're going to wind up for Taffy on your right and pull to your left. Yes. Let's do that again. Feel the subtle sinking and rising. This is so easy. Winding up on your left, pulling to your right. Let's do it again. I love to visualize myself in water up to my neck, nice warm water when I do this movement. And just feel the gentle currents moving the body about. To me, that's the easiest way to use the effort of no effort in all these movements, really, but that's just my opinion. Nice. Feeling the body at rest. We would normally do 3 sets of that, but I'm going to do 2, again, in deference to time today. Now we're going to do the third variation of pulling Taffy. Many people just call it perpetual motion Taffy. Normally we would do 9 sets. I'm going to do 6. I'm going to do the first couple with just one hand, okay? It's really as if you're doing this. You know how we used to do this when we were kids? I've never met a kid who doesn't do this when they're bored, right? So here we go. We're going to sink, shift, and turn to your right. That causes the left arm to go across the body. And as we move towards your left, it pulls the right arm across. You feel it. Nice. Now I'm actually going to add the second arm here. We're going to pull the Taffy, and then we're just going to transition and let the arms flow back together. Here they turn and start to flow back together. And see if you can allow your weight to flow so fully into your right leg that the left leg actually floats off the floor for just a moment. And now you're right. It's like we're turning away from the trailing leg, so much so it leaves the ground. I have lost count, but we're going to call this next set number 6. And therefore we're going to end by moving back the direction we came from. Feeling the body at rest. And now we're going to do a movement called working the pulley, which is almost like the side to side and forward backward movements combined. Okay? So here we go. Sinking and shifting to your right so your left leg can extend, because the left leg is extended. That's why the left hand goes up near the shoulder. And then simply turn the right palm towards the ceiling, okay? We're going to flow forward just like we normally would into the empty leg. And I'm sure you already guessed this hand is going to go forward too. But when we do that, we're going to turn away from that forward moving hand just a tiny bit. And look what that does to this elbow. It sort of allows it to flow behind me a little bit. And that way this hand will go behind without any effort in the shoulder. Okay, so just copy me. Here we go. Nice. So you can see why this is indeed a forward-backward movement. But what makes it side to side as well is the body is turning, the upper body, the dantian, that expanding and contracting energetic heart, right down there in the middle of your pelvic bowl. Contracting, expanding, contracting, expanding. And this is our last one. I'm going to do the other side from the side. Okay. Sink down and shift to the left. When the right leg is empty, let it extend, and that's why the right hand is up. The left hand simply faces the sky. Here we go. See if you feel that subtle expansion and contraction and expansion here. But if you don't, just follow the weight shift on your feet. Flow completely into the front leg and then into the back. Let your fingers sort of run around two invisible old-fashioned clotheslines. We're going to call this 6. And we're going to close. Feeling the body at rest for just a moment. And then we're going right into light at the top of the head, light at the temple. It's like a combination move. I'm going to do it from the side because you're going to see the weight shift is exactly the same as one of the weight shifts we applied during wrist circles Taffy. So here we go. We're dropping down, and then we're flowing back up. The hands are flowing all the way to the top of your head. And then we're dropping into the heels, and as we rise and shift to the balls of the feet, the hands separate. The downward shift pulls them down. The upward rise sends them apart. One more time. Now, with your body in neutral, pull your energy up and out of the crown of your head and just mix it with the cosmic consciousness up there for about 6 seconds. Then hold for an equal length of time. Now let's sink and rise. Sink and rise. Sink, and the hands circle all the way around this time. The right hand comes up under the left. You kind of fold the energy in and float back down to the soles of your feet. We're going to do the second half of the movement. I'll do it facing you. So sinking down, bringing the energy up to your temples. Sink and rise. Sink and rise. It's like you're putting down roots and suddenly a tulip appears. Now mix forward. It's like you're messing up your hair at about the temple line here for about 6 seconds. Then hold for about 6 seconds. Then sink and rise. Sink and rise. Sink. Shift all the way around. Right hand comes up under the left. Kind of fold the energy in on yourself. And feel the body at rest for just a moment. And now we're going to follow up this movement with Joyous Breath. Here's that other little spot in the practice where if we do one movement, we got to do the one right after, just like the daughters. We're down here. I'm going to do this one from sort of a 45-degree angle so you can see a little bit better how it's accomplished here. Feeling the body at rest here. Just noticing the sensations of a motionless body. Now we're going to step out with your left leg. So we're going to sink a little extra energy into the right so we can step out easily with the left. Straighten out your toes. So it's as if we're beginning rocking motion all over again. And we're going to sink down and exhale through our nose with our lips closed. Here we go. And as we rise, we're going to inhale through our noses with our lips closed and expand the legs as much as you can. So you're going to be shifting forward and letting the knees lengthen out. And we're going to turn the palms over, and with our lips closed, we're going to press all the air out of our lungs in 4 sections. And you're going to hear it audibly. Here we go. It's as if you're doing this, only with your lips closed. Let's do it again. Again. And bring the left foot back to the right. Float back down to rest. Just feel the body at rest for a moment. All right. Now we're going to do passing clouds. One of the most well-known, most loved Tai Chi Chuan movements of all. Okay. By the way, it's just like carry the ball to the side, only the hands are moving independently rather than this. Okay? So, and also, oddly enough, it's the only movement that begins with a weight shift to your left. So just follow me. Everything will be fine. If your arms and legs get confused, so what? You know, you already paid your penny, sort of, kind of. It is free. Just enjoy the carnival ride, okay? Here we go. Here we go. I don't need to step on my bone down there. You step away. Nice. Every Tai Chi practice in the world has some variation of this movement. And they all seem to have the word cloud in the name, too. Let's go really slowly here. One more set. And we're flowing back to the soles of the feet. And now we're going to do a movement called 6 healing sounds. I could spend at least a half an hour telling you every little bit of information about 6 healing sounds, but we don't have time. So just do it with me, okay? We're going to go forward with just the left hand and the left foot, and we're going to aspirate the sound of the word ho. So rather than ho, it's going to be ho. So here we go. Just the left hand and the left foot. Ho. Ho. Now both hands and the sound hu. Now we're going to sweep to your left and we're going to aspirate the sound su. Su. Now the right hand, the right foot, the sound sh. Sh. Both hands, she. She. We're going to sweep back to your right with the sound chui. Chui. Here we go again. Left hand, left foot. Both hands. Sweep left. Right hand, right foot. Both hands. Sweep right. Let's do the whole thing again. Now we're going to do continuous trees. This is just like perpetual motion taffy. One more. Feeling the body floating down to rest. Now the last movement of the day is actually not a movement, it's a pose. Cosmic consciousness pose. I tricked you. Not 20 movements, it's 19 movements in one pose. I never mirror it because it feels too weird. We only do it on one side, so this is how we're going to do it. Feeling the body at rest. And we're simply going to pick up the left heel and place it ever so slightly on the right ankle without shifting any other muscles. So we're still completely balanced on the sole of your right foot, the whole sole, but just the ball of your left foot. And when you feel balanced and relaxed, you're going to let your arms rise so that your elbows, your wrists, your fingers are all on the same height as your shoulders. If that feels like work, you can just visualize you're resting your forearms on a high countertop. All right. The fingertips are overlapped. The left ones are the ones that are closer to your body. Now see if you can allow your gaze to be neither too inwardly focused nor too outwardly focused. They may be somewhere between your fingers and the floor beyond you. We're just going to rest here for a moment. Just for a moment. And then we're going to flow back to the soles of the feet. And while we're hanging out in the soles of the feet, we're going to do a little more mindfulness. Here we go. Finding a spot somewhere in your inner landscape that you normally pay no attention to. And see if you can allow your mind to simply dwell there for a few moments while we call the bell. And if your mind wanders, just invite it back as many times as you need to, and all will be well. Let us begin. How'd that go for you? I hope you enjoyed today. I'll be back in about 2 weeks. Normally I'm here on a Thursday, by the way, but this week I had something going on. And maybe soon I'll be here more often than every 2 weeks. So just keep tuning in. And by the way, thank you to all of you who tune in week after week after week. I really love teaching you Tai Chi Chi. I really, really do. And again, my name is Jessica Lewis. The name of my company is Sculpt Your Life. I've been told that if you Google any combination of Jessica Lewis, Sculpt Your Life, spelled any way you want, that I'm almost always the first thing that pops up. But if you go looking for my website, I got to tell you, it's spelled a little differently than you're probably expecting it to be spelled. Frankly, because 17 plus years ago when I went to get the domain, the way you'd normally expect to Sculpt Your Life to be spelled was already taken. So I had to change the spelling a little bit just for the website. So if you're looking that up, it's www.sculpt, SCULPT, URLIFE.com. And when you get there, it's a very robust site. No matter where you are, you can always just hit the contact button at the top of the page, and you will automatically slide down to the bottom where you can shoot me an email. There's even a place where you can click, and if you're on your cell phone, you'll literally be calling me on my cell phone. Just slightly below that, you'll see all 5 or 6 of the social media channels that I'm on. I have a very active YouTube channel, by the way. A lot of video content there. There's a whole page dedicated to Tai Chi Chih, a whole page dedicated to videos. All these movements are broken down into individual chapters, so if you want to learn more about any one of the movements, you can easily study that. Or there are buttons for complete standing practices and complete seated practices as well. So if you're chair bound with very little modification, you can still do all the movements, no problemo. So I hope that you all will remain healthy and well until the next time that we're together, and I wish you nothing but peace. Thank you so much for today.